Every time you explain yourself, you surrender authority. Power doesn't justify, it decides. The moment you stop explaining is the moment others reposition beneath you. Chapter 1. The weakness of explanation. You were taught that explaining yourself is maturity. That clarity creates understanding. That if people know your reasons, they will respect your position. This belief is not just false, it is dangerous. Explanation is not neutral. It is a signal, and the signal it sends is simple. You are seeking approval. In power dynamics, explanation is rarely interpreted as generosity. It is interpreted as insecurity. When you explain your decisions, your boundaries, or your silence, you are unconsciously telling others that your authority depends on their agreement. You are inviting judgment. You are opening a negotiation that never needed to exist. Those who hold power do not rush to clarify. They do not narrate their thinking. Their actions stand on their own. The moment you feel compelled to explain is the moment you have already dropped one level in the hierarchy. Most people explain because they fear being misunderstood, but misunderstanding is not a threat to authority. Challenge is. An explanation invites challenge. When you explain, you create openings. You give others handles to grab, angles to attack, points to dispute. You turn a closed decision into an open debate. Notice how this works in real life. The person who says, "I can't come because I already committed elsewhere," is questioned. The person who says, "I won't be there," is accepted. The difference is not politeness, it is posture. Explanation places you in a defensive frame. Even when no one is attacking, you preemptively defend yourself. This tells the room that you believe your position is fragile, and people instinctively test fragile things. Power does not come from being understood, it comes from being unmovable. This is why leaders, rulers, and dominant figures throughout history have been minimal with words. They understood something most people still resist. Justification lowers status. Silence consolidates it. The illusion you must abandon is this, that respect is earned through transparency. Respect is enforced through consistency and restraint. When your actions are predictable, your boundaries firm, and your reactions controlled, people adapt to you. When you explain, you adapt to them. There is also a deeper psychological trap at play. Explanation feeds the ego's need to be seen as reasonable, fair, and good. But power does not reward goodness, it rewards certainty. The need to explain is often the need to be liked, and being liked has never been a position of strength. Look closely at how people treat it. They interrupt them, they challenge them, they ask follow-up questions, they push further, because explanation signals availability. It signals openness to persuasion, and persuasion flows upward only when authority is unclear. Those who do not explain create gravity. Others adjust their behavior around them. They do not ask why, they ask how do we respond. This chapter is not telling you to become rude or dismissive. It is telling you to recognize that not every action requires a defense. The more you explain, the more you train people to expect explanations, and once expectation is set, silence is interpreted as guilt rather than strength. The transition begins internally. You must break the reflex to justify. Pause before explaining. Ask yourself, did anyone challenge my authority, or am I volunteering to weaken it? Power begins the moment you stop narrating yourself. When explanation dies, presence replaces it, and presence is far more difficult to confront. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Justification. Justification is not a habit, it is a psychological leak, and once it appears, others instinctively exploit etaphan without realizing why. The human brain is constantly scanning for hierarchy, not consciously, not verbally, but instinctively. Every interaction answers one silent question: who adjusts to whom? Justification answers that question in the wrong direction. When you justify yourself, you are not explaining facts. You are signaling uncertainty in your position. You are telling the listener that your decision is open to evaluation. And the mind does something automatic when it senses openness. It tests boundaries. This is why justification attracts resistance. The more reasons you give, the more objections appear. Not because your reasons are weak, but because you've activated a psychological mechanism, permission to challenge. People do not challenge authority figures who appear internally resolved. They challenge those who appear to need agreement. Explanation exposes need, silence conceals it. There is a reason interrogators let suspects talk. There is a reason lawyers advise minimal speech. The more someone explains, the more inconsistencies, vulnerabilities, and leverage points emerge. Explanation multiplies exposure. From a psychological standpoint, justification triggers a role reversal. You unconsciously move into the role of applicant. The other person shifts into the role of judge, even if they never asked for justification. You have placed them above you in the interaction. This is why confident individuals often sound abrupt or vague. It's not arrogance, it's containment. They understand that clarity is not power control, is. Another layer of the trap is moral framing. Many people justify themselves to appear fair, kind, or reasonable. But morality is irrelevant in dominance dynamics. Power structures reward decisiveness, not virtue signaling. When you over-explain, you are trying to prove you are good. But authority does not require goodness. It requires coherence. Justification also creates dependency. Once you explain, people begin to expect access to your reasoning. Your decisions no longer stand alone, they must be accompanied by rationale. This erodes autonomy over time. What began as courtesy becomes obligation. Notice how children behave when they sense a parent's uncertainty. They negotiate, they push, they argue. The same pattern appears among adults. Certainty shuts down negotiation. Justification invites it. Psychologically, silence forces projection. When you don't explain, others fill the gap themselves, and the mind tends to project strength onto what it cannot fully read. Mystery elevates status. Overclarity flattens it. This is why high-status individuals often appear calm, slow, and minimally reactive. Their lack of justification communicates internal alignment. They are not checking themselves against others. They are operating from a fixed internal frame. Justification is a symptom of external orientation, measuring yourself against reactions, opinions, and approval. Power begins when orientation turns inward. The key realization is this: you do not lose respect because people don't understand you. You lose respect because you signal that understanding is required for your authority to stand. When you stop justifying, interactions change, conversations shorten, challenges reduce. People either comply or reveal themselves as opponents. Both outcomes are useful. This chapter is not about becoming silent in all cases. It is about precision. Speak when speech increases leverage. Remain silent when speech only soothes anxiety. The disciplined mind does not explain reflexively. It decides, observes the reaction, and adjusts without commentary. That is the psychology of justification. And once you see it, you cannot unsee how often it destroys authority quietly, one sentence at a time. Chapter 3: Archetypes. The explicable versus the decider. Every social environment produces two archetypes, not because people choose them consciously, but because behavior settles into patterns that the hierarchy rewards or punishes. These archetypes exist in offices, families, friendships, and power structures. Once you see them, you will never mistake them again. The first is the explicable. The explicable believes legitimacy comes from being understood. He clarifies his intentions. He justifies his decisions. He narrates his thought process to preempt conflict. He assumes transparency creates trust. What actually happens is the opposite. The explicable becomes predictable. Predictability invites control. The more he explains, the more others feel entitled to his reasoning. His boundaries soften. His authority erodes. He is seen as accessible, negotiable, adjustable. The explicable often appears intelligent and articulate. That is what traps him. He mistakes verbal competence for influence. But influence does not come from explanation. It comes from position. He responds quickly. He fills silence. He answers questions that were never asked. This makes others comfortable, but comfort is not respect. Comfort breeds familiarity, and familiarity kills hierarchy. Now contrast this with the decider. The decider does not explain unless it benefits him. His decisions arrive whole, not open. He does not rush to clarify ambiguity. He lets others sit with uncertainty. This is not cruelty, it's control. The decider understands something fundamental. People adapt upward, not downward. When his behavior is consistent and restrained, others adjust themselves around it. They stop asking why. They start asking how to align. That the decider speaks less, but each word carries weight, not because the words are complex, but because they are final. His silence is not emptiness, it is pressure. Psychologically, the decider forces others into interpretation mode, and interpretation consumes cognitive energy. While others are busy decoding him, he is already acting. The explicable meanwhile, exhausts himself trying to stay ahead of misunderstanding. Here is the critical distinction. The explicable seeks validation before action. The decider allows action to generate validation. One waits to be approved. The other allows approval to catch up. In group dynamics, the explicable becomes a resource. The decider becomes a reference point. People ask the explicable for help. People look to the decider for direction. Over time, this gap widens. The explicable becomes emotionally visible. His reactions are readable. His intentions transparent. This makes him safe but also controllable. The decider becomes psychologically opaque. His reactions are measured. His inner state concealed. This makes him unpredictable and, therefore, respected. There is also a moral trap here. Many explainers believe the decider is arrogant, cold, or unfair. This judgment protects the explicable's ego. It allows him to feel morally superior, while remaining structurally inferior. The hierarchy does not care about moral narratives. It only responds to behavior. And here is the most dangerous truth. The explicable often believes he is choosing kindness. In reality, he is choosing submission. The decider does not dominate through aggression. He dominates through. He does not require agreement to proceed. He does not require understanding to act. This archetype shift does not require cruelty. It requires restraint or to move from explicable to decider. You must kill one instinct, the urge to correct how others perceive you. Once that instinct dies, authority begins to form naturally. This chapter exposes the archetypes. The next will show how the world rewards one and quietly erases the other. Chapter 4. Deepening the threat. How explainers lose status. Status is not taken from you in dramatic moments. It is not stripped away publicly. It erodes quietly, interaction by interaction, until one day you notice people no longer treat you the same. And you cannot explain why. This is how explainers disappear. Every time you justify a decision, you teach others how to challenge you. Every clarification becomes a data point. Over time, people learn your patterns, your limits, your emotional thresholds, and once learned, they are used. The loss of status begins subtly. People interrupt you more. They question your choices casually. They feel comfortable disagreeing in front of others. None of this feels aggressive at first. It feels normal. That is the danger. Power does not announce its exit. Historically, those who explained themselves lost ground to those who acted. Kings who negotiated endlessly were replaced by those who enforced decisions. Leaders who sought consensus were overtaken by those who established direction. This is not cruelty, it is human nature responding to certainty. In modern life, the same pattern repeats. The employee who over-explains is monitored. The one who states outcomes is trusted. The friend who justifies boundaries is pressured. The one who enforces them is respected. The partner who explains feelings is debated. The one who withdraws is feared. Explainers believe explanation prevents conflict. In reality, it invites testing. People push until they find resistance. If resistance never appears, exploitation begins. The most dangerous phase is normalization. When others grow accustomed to your explanations, they stop seeing them as courtesy. They see them as obligation. Silence then becomes suspicious. Boundaries feel like betrayal. At this stage, reclaiming authority becomes difficult, not because it is impossible, but because the role has already been assigned. You are no longer a figure of gravity. You are a source of justification. This is how social erasure begins. You are still present, but no longer central. Still involved, but no longer decisive. Still speaking, but no longer shaping outcomes. People stop consulting you. Decisions happen without you. Your presence becomes optional, and the explicable rarely notices this transition in real time. He feels confused, not threatened. He explains more to compensate, accelerating his own decline. Meanwhile, the decider grows. He does not compete openly. He simply occupies space differently. He withholds commentary. He acts without narrating. He allows discomfort to exist without resolving it for others. This creates contrast. Humans orient toward contrast instinctively. One person is clear, boundaried, and unmoved. The other is responsive, adaptive, and eager to clarify. Hierarchy forms automatically. The threat here is not humiliation. It is irrelevance. Explainers are not attacked. They are bypassed. This chapter is meant to make something uncomfortable visible. If people frequently question you, debate you, or demand explanations, they are not being curious. They are calibrating how far they can go, And if you keep responding with justification, you are training them where the line is on, how easily it moves. Power does not resist every challenge. It removes the incentive to challenge at all. Those who do not explain create friction. Friction creates respect. Those who over-explain create smoothness. Smoothness invites use. In the next chapter, you will learn how to reverse this pattern without confrontation, aggression, or announcement, and lead through strategic silence and behavioral realignment. Chapter 5: Strategic Silence. Authority without defense. Strategic silence is not the absence of speech. It is the refusal to leak authority. It is restraint with intent. And once mastered, it changes how others orient around you without you ever needing to correct them. Most people believe silence is passive. In reality, uncontrolled speech is what's passive. It reacts, it soothes, it explains. Silence, when deliberate, forces others to adjust. The first principle of strategic silence is this: not every question deserves an answer. Questions are often disguised as challenges. When you answer immediately, you validate the challenge. When you pause or refuse, you reassert hierarchy. This does not mean you ignore everyone. It means you decide when speech increases leverage and when it reduces it. High status individuals speak after the emotional wave has passed. They let others reveal themselves first. They do not rush to stabilize tension. They allow tension to work on their behalf. Silence creates asymmetry. While others are exposed through words, you remain unreadable. This imbalance alone shifts power. People fear what they cannot measure. The second principle is minimalism. When you do speak, say less than expected. Short statements signal finality. They leave no handles to grab. The fewer variables you introduce, the fewer angles others have to challenge. Notice how authority figures often respond with fragments, not essays, not because they lack intelligence, but because they understand containment. The third principle is non-reactivity. Emotional reactions are confessions. They reveal where you are vulnerable. Strategic silence denies that information. When provoked, the disciplined response is not rebuttal, it is delay. Delay destabilizes the attacker. It breaks rhythm. It signals control. Silence also forces self-correction. When you do not explain, people either accept your position or expose themselves as adversarial. Both outcomes are useful. Compliance confirms alignment. Resistance reveals opposition. There is no need to debate either. Strategic silence works because it reverses effort. Instead of you working to maintain your authority, others work to interpret it. Cognitive load shifts away from you. This alone elevates status. Another critical aspect is selective clarification. When you finally choose to explain, it carries weight. It feels intentional, not defensive. People listen differently when they know explanation is rare. This is how silence builds gravity. But strategic silence requires internal alignment. You cannot fake it while craving approval. The urge to explain must die internally before silence becomes effective externally. This is where many fail. They try to be silent while still needing validation. The result is awkwardness, not authority. True strategic silence is calm, grounded, unbothered. It is rooted in a belief that your position does not require consensus. Once this belief is internalized, silence stops feeling like withholding and starts feeling like sovereignty. Over time, people adjust. They stop demanding reasons. They stop pushing boundaries. They treat your decisions as fixed points, not proposals. This chapter is not teaching you to dominate through force. It is teaching you to remove the conditions that invite challenge. In the next chapter, the final transformation occurs. Not behavioral, but existential. The identity that needed explanation must die completely. Chapter 7, Final Warning and Delete CTA. This is where the illusion ends. There is no gradual transition left. No soft integration. You either internalize what you've learned, or you return to the position you occupied before. Explainable, adjustable, and replaceable. The hierarchy does not pause while you decide. It is always moving. Those who hesitate are sorted downward automatically. Those who remain explainable are managed. Those who require understanding before action are delayed, negotiated with, and ultimately sidelined. The final warning is precise. Every explanation you offer after this point is a conscious decision to give up leverage. You now understand the mechanics. You've seen how justification invites challenge, how silence shifts effort, How identity, not technique, determines status. Continuing to explain after this knowledge is not ignorance, it is submission. Power does not announce itself. It does not argue. It does not seek consensus. It occupies space and allows others to orient around it. From this moment forward, you are being watched differently, not because people suddenly changed, but because you did. Your restraint will unsettle them. Your pauses will create friction. Your lack of commentary will force projection. Some will respect it, some will resent it, some will test it. All three responses confirm that the shift is working. Do not correct reactions. Do not reassure discomfort. Do not soften silence to make others feel safe. Comforting others at the expense of your position is the old identity trying to survive. The elite do not explain why they move the way they do. They move, and the environment adapts. Your CTA is not symbolic. It is operational. Stop narrating decisions. Stop justifying boundaries. Stop defending silence. Let outcomes speak. Let time reinforce. Let others learn through repetition, not reasoning. The moment you feel the urge to explain, recognize it for what it is, the dying reflex of a subordinate identity. Allow it to pass without action. This is not about dominance for its own sake. It is about self-sovereignty, about refusing to leak authority into conversations that do not deserve it. The final truth is simple and unforgiving. Those who explain are evaluated. Those who decide are followed. There is no middle position. You now stand at the boundary. Between the two, remain explainably and accept management, or become unmovable and accept isolation, clarity, and power. Choose carefully. The hierarchy will respond accordingly.